What is the most shallow reason you have ever rejected someone for? I don't need a reason to reject. Rejection is the default because can't fuck everyone. Rather, a man needs multiple positive reasons to be accepted. He wouldn't let me get a cat. We had been dating for a few months, didn't live together. He told me I had to choose between a rescue kitten my stepdad found under a house or him. The cat's name is Wyatt. IDK if shallow. Dirty and long fingernails. We were eating and I could not stop looking at his nails. He was 30 and ticked all the boxes, basically a perfect on paper person, but he had a lisp, see no evil. The attraction just wasn't there because of it. IDK if it's necessarily shallow or not, but this insanely hot man would constantly be self-deprecating to the point where I no longer thought he was hot because he basically kept convincing me through his jokes that he wasn't. He had kids. His teeth. He was really attractive until he smiled. They were yellow with really thick, gray, almost black, plaque gunked up on them. The thought of kissing him turned my stomach. I made my excuses and left. He turned up to the date in a super scruffy hoodie and baggy jeans that were too long and fraying from where he kept stepping on them. It's not like we were going out to a super nice restaurant, but he could have at least put some effort in. He said he didn't like it when I used big words. I think any reason is a legitimate reason. Either you're feeling it or you aren't, but he was a Meta Knight main in Smash, Brawl, and I just couldn't do it. Obviously, I wasn't super into him anyway, but that was the point at which I knew we wouldn't be going on a second date. Outside of work clothes, he wore knee-high moccasins, with his jeans tucked in. He was balding. Badly. And he was only in his late 20s. And I just couldn't see past this. He's happily married to a friend of a friend, so I guess the follicle scarcity didn't get in the way of his happiness. Shallow? If that's the case, it's usually in the early stages of dating. He's a bad driver, unhealthy obsession with Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, a day trader who calls himself an entrepreneur. Didn't put back his shopping cart, tip the waitress, unnecessary flexing on Instagram, picky eater. He hated garlic, onions, didn't like a handful of cuisines. Nice guy, but as a food person this was a deal breaker. It's one thing to dislike some things, but like garlic and onions is in everything. Saying no Chinese because you don't like Americanized takeout is just closed-minded and ignorant as fuck. That food culture in China is vast, varied and not like takeout. I won't be even friends with folks not willing to try things. He was not open. I rarely brag about anything, but I dedicated my life to cuisine and that skill should not be wasted on anyone who wants plain and same food. I actually don't think it's shallow as it's a huge part of my life, but people have told me many times they thought so. Income. He was a grown man that made $25K per year with no goals. I don't need someone to make more than me, but it has to be close to the same. They tried to pick me up, using astrology. Too hard nose. He said he hated Oprah Winfrey. But actually I think he was a racist. So I guess that's not shallow. My bad. Small penis woman shrugging, light skin tone. I like big dicks and I cannot lie. He had bad handwriting. Read Twilight. Sorry not sorry. Not physically attracted. Probably because when he showed up to the date he was only as tall as my shoulders. I ghosted a girl because she was stinky and grubby. Cute and sweet but ooh. She was a grubby person. I went down on her because I am not unfair like that, but I paid for it for a day afterwards. One time I was swiping on Tinder and this one guy had a strange mark on his face. I judged and swiped left only to see the mark was actually a crumb on my screen. He was fine and I am just gross. Just not finding him physically attractive. He was fun to be around but that was it. He had brown spots or speckles in the whites of his eyes. I'm not talking about his eye color. Yellow teeth, was on date with a cute guy but I would refuse any making out because he looked like he didn't really brush his teeth as much. Not overly horrible but enough to make me think and ask myself how many times a day did this guy brush his teeth. And the way he shared food on the same plate, I just thought it was odd. I know some cultures do that but for me I only do that with family or people I'm close to, and we were not at that stage. A lot of things kind of added up, and I thought there was no point to continue dating. I didn't find them handsome. A guy hit on me and he was wearing an old turtleneck long sleeve shirt. With black sweatpants tucked into white tube socks. This was in the middle of summer too. No joke. Height. They had an android skull. IDK if this is shallow, but he tried to get with all my friends one by one. His mom, very religious, wouldn't have liked me. I would want an equal amount of time spent between my family and Aso's family, so I don't want to waste my time if they can't see me as part of the family. Too far of a drive to go see her. Bad teeth. A real turn off for sure. I thought he was meh and gave off like Patrick Bateman vibes. I gagged whenever I thought about him kissing me. I didn't like their face? I mean, that's pretty shallow. They could be a very nice person with good qualities and maybe even a chemistry match, but yeah. If I'm not attracted to them, it's not going to work. Height. I am ashamed to admit that I like it when guys are tall. I am 173 centimeters, ca 5'7", and I like to stand on my tippy toes to kiss a guy. I rejected a guy who I met online. Saw him the first time, he was 156 centimeters, 5'1". Never talked to him again. Ironically, my now boyfriend is only 1 centimeter taller than me. How he spoke, I don't like uptalk in general, especially the bro type of voice, it's ridiculous. A large hairy mole on their arm. Shallow, yes. Do I care? No. For what it's worth, I had a mole removed on myself for cosmetic reasons. I hold myself to the same standards. Moles gross me out. What can I say, not talking about the small freckle-sized ones. I didn't like how he dressed. Lol. They lived in the middle of the city. I am not a confident driver and driving to his made me constantly anxious, and then I had to pay for parking each time. I just didn't like him that much. He was shorter than me, which wouldn't have been a total deal-breaker if he hadn't claimed to be 5 feet 11 inches. So maybe it was more because he lied. Well, in my case the guy was too fat. Like 400 pounds fat, and he was a huge hoarder. I felt bad because he was super sweet. He winked at me, and I felt instantly dirty. Didn't like his forehead. I don't reject. I'm not interested. They were a nosepicker. Gorgeous looking, kind, funny, treated me well, etc. But I could not get over being grossed out by it. He wore terrible sandals to the date.